Alright, so today I thought I'd have a little bit of fun and just show you some random snakes here in my collection. I have some pretty awesome snakes. Some of them are pets, like Bobby around my neck. This is Bobby, my bamboo ball python. He's a 7-year-old male, and I really don't breed Bobby anymore. He's just pretty much just a pet anymore. He's getting really big. He's super big for male. And I have a whole bunch of other snakes. I actually have a corn snake I want to show you and a big reticulated python. And then I think I'll pull some of my ball pythons out. Some of my really cool ball pythons. Some that I produced this year and some in previous years, and some that I use as breeders. So let's jump over and just check out some random snakes. Alright, so the first snake I want to show you is my corn snake. I have a really big, beautiful, stunning corn snake. He actually lives in this big boa tub. Look at how big this tub is. Really huge. He's got a lot of room, a lot of hides and everything, and some water. And he's not so beautiful today. He's really in a super deep shed. It's kind of crazy. As a matter of fact, yesterday, he was so deep in the shed, he was almost completely white. Look at how much in the shed he is. His eyes are like completely grayed out. It is kind of crazy. And kind of the funny thing about this corn snake is I actually put him up for sale over on Morphmarket, and someone said they wanted to buy him, and I actually marked him as on hold, and then they changed their mind. So I put him back up for sale, and someone else wanted to buy him, and I did the same thing, and they changed their mind. So I put him up for sale a third time, and believe it or not, they actually changed their mind on that one. And I have like 5 more people that want Big Red. It's kind of crazy. I've never seen anything like it, where, you know, people want it, and then for whatever reason, I don't know what's going on, but they decide that they don't want them. It's kind of crazy. And this, let me tell you, this corn snake is really super beautiful most times, and now it is completely grayed out. He's a really big adult male. Pretty amazing. Alright, so here is Lucy, my really big reticulated python. Take a look at how big she is. She weighs about 100 pounds. She is a monster. Really super beautiful. I just went through and changed all the coconut husk in here and cleaned her enclosure. She went through this big explosive shed. And let's see if I can kind of get her out to where you can see her head. She's got a really beautiful head. If she'll actually come out, look at how big she is. She is a monster. She is so big. I definitely cannot handle her by myself. She's so big. She can definitely overpower me. She is a monster. I definitely need 2 people to handle a girl like this. She's actually a white albino reticulated python. So the white albino, there's actually a white albino, a lavender albino, and a purple albino. So the lavender is 1 copy of the gene, and then the purple is actually 2 copies of the lavender gene, and it's attached to the albino, which is kind of interesting. And I actually have a purple albino male that I'm breeding to this girl this year, so it should be interesting. I've been trying to breed her for years, and she will not lay eggs. She's just kind of stubborn. She's about 5 years old now, and when I bought her, she was super small. She was like probably, you know, that size. Let's see if we can actually get her tail out. She's, look at the end of her tail, even at the big of her, the end of her tail. She's probably, when I got her, she's maybe look at that tail. She's probably about maybe this big around when I got her. And look at how beautiful the pattern is on her tail. All this checkering, really amazing coloring on this girl. And just her tail is really big. And she's like, don't touch me. She's kind of freaking out over there. And then I have a little piece of cardboard over there that I feed her on, so she doesn't get a mouthful of coconut husk when I feed her. That's kind of my latest setup as far as getting her kind of, you know, on the coconut. It seems like the coconut husk is working really good, because retics like to pee a lot, and if you actually have them on paper, it seems like you're chasing the, you know, the mess every few days, and then you get them on coconut husk, and they can last maybe, you know, I change the substrate in here maybe every week or every 2 weeks, depending on how messy she gets. If she's going into a big shed and she's all full of rodents, she could actually, you know, kind of coil up and then sit there. She won't drink or eat or go to the bathroom for like, usually like 2.5 weeks. She's pretty much remains motionless. But look at how beautiful is that. Is a beautiful snake. All right, so take a look at this crazy girl. This is Fang. We named this one Fang. This is probably the best snake that I've ever produced here in my collection. This is a super pastel desert ghost female. Look at that crazy snake. And kind of the weird thing is when I produce this, the desert ghost is recessive. And the funny thing is I actually have a visual desert ghost. I just bred it to a random female. Didn't even realize that it was het desert ghost. And kind of just randomly popped this out. I cut the egg open, I was peeking in there, I was like, what in the world is that? I had no clue I could even produce something like this with that kind of a pairing. I actually have a visual pastel spider desert ghost female, but she didn't actually lay eggs this year, and I'm definitely getting heavy into the desert ghost. I'm holding back a whole bunch of hets. I have some super pastels, and I have this one for sure. It's going to be a holdback. I really want to get more into the desert ghost. I think they are pretty much the most amazing snakes, especially when you work in pastel or super pastel. That is a really crazy snake. So take a look at this big old chunky girl. This is a super pastel 100% het desert ghost. And kind of the cool thing about the super pastels, I actually did a video on the super pastel, and everything that you work into the super pastel makes some really amazing combinations. I thought it would be really cool just to have a whole collection based around all super pastels, which would be pretty awesome. Even without the desert ghost, the super pastel is really amazing. So this has 2 copies of the pastel gene, and when you have 2 copies, it really scrambles up the pattern, and a lot of times you get like this white background, which is really interesting, and a really faded out head and a really super bright snake. Pretty awesome. So here is Joker. Joker is a pastel calico. The first time I ever produced pastel calico. Look at how beautiful that is. And this guy is one of the ones I actually assist fed this one. Had to assist feed it twice so far. It will not eat for, I've been trying to feed this thing for a month and it wouldn't eat. I finally went to assist feeding. I actually have 2 more snakes that haven't eaten anything that I tried to assist feed twice, and it was pretty much a bust as far as trying to assist feed those 2. And sometimes it can be really difficult trying to assist feed ball pythons, especially if they won't take it. Sometimes it can be really tricky. It can be really stressful for you and the snake trying to assist feed the first meals. And usually once they hit, the first 2 meals of assist feeding, sometimes it just takes 1 and sometimes it takes 2 to get them to where the point where they'll actually take a little live mouse hopper. But this guy's been a little bit stubborn and it's doing pretty good, and hopefully I won't have to assist feed this one much longer. So here is my tiniest ball python probably that I've ever produced. Look at how tiny this one is. We named this one Lucky. And believe it or not, I actually fed Lucky another live mouse hopper and it ate it. I didn't have to assist feed this one. It ate 2 of them already, which is really amazing. Usually for ball pythons this small, you almost always have to assist feed it. And this one, I'm pretty sure this is possibly pastel yellow belly spider pied 100% het albino. Really powerful breeder. I'm thinking of maybe holding this one back if I can actually get it up to size. It looks like it's doing really. Look at how skinny that is, like a little tiny worm, so small. And I can't believe that it's actually eating live right off the bat. It's pretty amazing for such a tiny snake. All right, so take a look at this one. We named this one Pookie. This is one of my holdbacks. Take a look at Pookie, how pretty that is. And it's kind of interesting because this one is a 4-gene combination. So this actually has bamboo in the mix. The snake that I have around my neck at the beginning of the video, that's Bobby. And this is Bobby's grandchild, I guess you would say. So this has the bamboo. It also has the pastel and the pinstripe, which is the lemon blast, which is really visually dominant. That's where you see a lot of the pattern coming in on the back, kind of jumbling it up. And then it also has calico in the mix, so you can definitely see kind of some the color coming up the sides. So it's a really powerful breeder. You can produce a whole bunch. You can produce like lemon blasts and the pastel calicos and everything. And this thing's doing great. I haven't had to assist feed. It's been eating on its own. I think it's had about 3 meals now. And it hasn't hasn't really been out of the egg that long, and it's doing really great, eating by itself, looking fantastic. I haven't probed this one to figure out if it's a male or female. I'm really hoping that this is a male, because it would be really awesome to breed it to some of my females. Really powerful breeder. So here is Dusty, another one of my holdbacks, and Dusty is actually a super pastel Enchi 100% het desert ghost, working on my desert ghost project. This is actually a female, really beautiful snake. And this one, it's kind of interesting when you add all the genes. Sometimes it kind of fades it out a little bit, but if you can actually hit the visual desert ghost with the pastel and the Enchi, you get a really amazing combination. As a matter of fact, my male is a visual desert ghost with the Enchi and one copy of the pastel. So it's amazing what Desert Ghost does to the pastel combination. It's pretty amazing. And the Desert Ghosts, you know, they're kind of underrated. There's not a lot of people working with them, and they're really pretty expensive. It's pretty amazing how much they actually sell for. Kind of crazy. And a snake like this, even if, you know, the price was pretty high, I definitely wouldn't sell it. Definitely want to hold this back and work on more Desert Ghosts. As a matter of fact, I was thinking of doing more clown stuff kind of at the beginning, and I'm kind of changing my mind about getting more into clowns. I might hold back a couple of clowns, but I'm thinking more and more that I might do mostly the Desert Ghost with the pastels, because they're so visually stunning. So take a look at this beauty. This is what happens to the calico when you mix it in with bamboo. They start off a little bit faded, and then the older they get, the calico really turns white, and you get a lot of really high contrast, really awesome combination. And this is actually where all my calico stuff came from. I actually have a pastel calico that produced this a couple years ago, and then I bred this into a bunch of other stuff, and that is where it all came from pretty much this year. Take a look at how beautiful that is. Kind of crazy working calico into the bamboo. So look at this one. This is an adult visual desert ghost. They fade out a little bit. They kind of lose some of their intensity, but they definitely retain a lot of the contrast and a lot of the yellow, I think, compared to a lot of other combinations. This one is a male. This is, as a matter of fact, this is the one that I bred to make that really super bright hatchling, which is kind of crazy. So this one, I actually bought it as a pastel desert ghost. Turns out it's actually a pastel Enchi desert ghost. Has Enchi in the mix, and a lot of times the desert ghost will really reduce the pattern, so sometimes it's actually hard to tell that you have Enchi in the mix. Alright, take a look at this girl. This is another visual desert ghost. Take a look at how crazy this one looks. This is actually a pastel spider desert ghost. Kind of crazy how the genes come together with the desert ghost and really make this amazing combination with all those genes. It's amazing how bright this is as a mature female. I tried to breed her this year, and I thought for sure she was going to actually develop some eggs and lay them. And as a matter of fact, actually, it seemed like I did an ultrasound and I saw some follicles developing in this girl, and then for whatever reason I think she reabsorbed the follicles, and the problem is it doesn't look like she's gonna lay eggs, and she hasn't started eating, so I don't know if I'm gonna be able to breed her this year, because, you know, we're coming up on the breeding season here in just a few weeks, and not actually eating, going into the breeding season, coming off the last one. I think I'm gonna give her the year off, which is kind of a bummer. I really wanted to try to breed her this year, but since she's not eating, I think I'm going to give her the year off. And if you actually give her the year off, they actually gain quite a bit of weight because they don't go back into the breeding fast, and she'll come out, you know, the following year even bigger, which is really awesome. Look at how beautiful she is. Really awesome snake. Alright, so take a look at this big old girl. This is my lesser clown female, and I tried to breed her this year and she didn't go, but the last couple months she started eating really good. So she's been really eating really good. So I'm definitely going to try to pair up again this year. I'm going to pair with my banana Enchi clown that I bought last year. It was pretty much the most expensive snake that I ever bought here in my collection, and I want to breed that one to this girl. Hopefully I'll produce some really awesome clown combos. All right, so take a look at this beauty. This is my banana inchy clown coming out of the dark tub, just kind of waking up to the bright light. And take a look at this. This is kind of an interesting combination. So this is actually the banana and the inchy when it comes together. Usually it really wipes out almost everything, and you end up with this interesting looking snake that's almost pure yellow, like a banana, with a really interesting pattern right on the top. It's almost like little blobs all over the snake. I actually bought this one over on Morphmarket, and when I bought it, I think I paid like $1,500 for this guy. I tried to breed him to a couple things last year, and he was just too small. He was a yearling. Now he's coming up on about 2 years old, so he's looking really good. I'm pretty sure he'll be good enough to breed a whole bunch of stuff. So I'm thinking maybe even breeding this to, I have some normal females, maybe just breed them to a normal, and I can actually reproduce this. I've actually seen just banana inchies without the clown. They look almost exactly like this, except they have a different kind of a head shape and a different pattern on the head. It's almost exactly the same if you look at banana inchy by itself, which is a really awesome combination. All right, so here is a stubborn little girl that I've been trying to breed for a while. This is actually a pinstripe pied, which is a really interesting combo. And I've been trying to breed her ever since she was 2 years old, and then I tried to breed her at 3 years old, and this year she's gonna be 4 years old. And every time I try to breed her, she's like right on the edge of 1,500 grams, and she hasn't really gotten that big because she keeps going in the breeding fast. So this year, it's kind of funny. I tried to pair her up this year, and she didn't breed, and she still is not back on food, which is kind of frustrating. So I think what I'm going to do this year is I'm going to give her the year off so she can gain some weight and get a little bit bigger. With the year off, usually they feed really well through the whole year, and then going into the next year, she'll be really big, which is kind of the plan. I definitely need to do that to more of my snakes. And let me tell you, I absolutely love these pinstripe pieds. All right, so here's the last one I want to show you. Take a look at this one. This is an Albino Pie Male. It's actually a double recessive. So you breed this to a normal. All the hatchlings come out looking normal, and they're all double head for albino and head for pied, which is kind of a challenging project. I've actually produced quite a few double heads. I bred this to a pinstripe, and I think I bred it to a lemon blast one year and produced a whole bunch of double heads. I actually produced another visual albino pied female. I bred this to my albino 100% het pied, and out of all those eggs, I think I got one visual albino pied. I actually sold it. I was going to hold it back, and some guy was looking for one, so I sold it, and I thought, oh, I could breed it, I could produce another one. I actually, as a matter of fact, I think that female might be ready this year. Again, I might be able to breed that one because it's back on food, and this guy has been really stubborn. You can see he's really pretty thin as far as, kind of his body condition. And I've been feeding him, pretty much every week. And it seems like, he's fasting for a really long time. And he finally came back on food here in the last few weeks and is starting to eat again. But for the males, it usually really doesn't matter. It really matters more for the females. And kind of the weird thing is, being a white snake, you can see all the little dirty spots on the snake when they get dirty. You almost have to take a towel and wipe them down to keep them clean if they get a little bit dirty. And take a look at the head stamp on this one. Really beautiful. Super, kind of an awesome head stamp on that, and really bright red eyes, which is pretty typical of the albinos. Really amazing snake. Take a look at that. Absolutely awesome. All right, so there you have it. That's just a few random snakes here in my collection. I have some really cool snakes, and if I showed you every single snake, it'd probably take like a whole hour to go through them all. And if I was to actually just keep one snake, probably my best one would be Bobby, the snake that I have around my neck right here. He is my bamboo male, about 7 years old, and I've had him for quite a long time, and he's probably my friendliest snake. And we're here in front of the camera pretty much every single day doing videos, so that's probably my number one. Probably my number two might be one of my visual desert ghosts. Those are pretty awesome. So that is pretty much it. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.